When you think of Valentine's Day, what is one of the first images that pops into your mind? It's probably this little guy right here, who we all know today as being Cupid. The little baby boy in Pampers who runs around shooting people with his arrows, making them fall in love. But who was Cupid really? When I was in high school, I took a class called Myths and Legends, and I loved it so much. It was my favorite class during high school. And today I'm going to share with you everything that I remember about Cupid and how he came to be, who he really was, according to Greek mythology and Roman mythology, what his origins were, who his parents were. First of all, Cupid, if you don't know, is the god of love. Cupid's mother is Aphrodite, the goddess of love. So in Greek mythology, her name is Aphrodite, and in Roman mythology, her name is Venus. Greek mythology came first, but I'm going to be using the names interchangeably. So Cupid's Greek name is Eros, and his Roman name is Cupid, but I'm going to just call him Cupid in this video. So Cupid's mom is Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and there's some debate as to who his father is, but from what I remember, his father was Mars. That's his Roman name, the god of war, and his Greek name is Ares. So Cupid's parents were basically the goddess of love and the god of war. But who were their parents? Who were Cupid's grandparents? His father's mother and father are Zeus and Hera. An interesting fact about Hera and Zeus is that they were brother and sister. So there was a lot of incestual shit going on in Greek mythology. Let me just tell you that right now. But that's what was going on there. And then Aphrodite is said to have been born from white foam that was produced by the severed genitals of Uranus, okay? After Uranus's son threw these severed genitals into the water. A white foam was produced, and from that white foam was born Aphrodite, the goddess of love, which is kind of fitting being that she was born from, foam that came out of these severed genitals. Do you get it? So now that we know who his parents and his grandparents were, let's talk about who Cupid was according to Greek mythology and how he changed once Roman mythology came in. So during Greek mythology, Cupid is introduced to us, and he's like a teenager. You know what I'm saying? So he's a teenager, and he's really, really fucking handsome. Like, he's gorgeous, and he's, feared, and he's threatening and borderline sinister. And the reason why people feared him and he was like a threat is because he had the power to make you fall in love with whoever he wanted you to fall in love with, by way of shooting his gold-tipped arrows at you, okay? The ability to make people fall in love, it was a good thing, but it was also a very fucking frightening thing, because what if he made you fall in love with someone that you couldn't stand? What if he made you fall in love with the most hideous person on Mount Olympus? You know what I'm saying? Like, the possibilities for disaster were endless. So according to Greek mythology, Cupid acted on his own. He would shoot whoever he wanted to with these arrows, and he ran around being mischievous and making people fall in love with people that he knew they didn't want to be with. You know what I'm saying? So basically in Greek mythology, that's who he was. Teenager, good looking, and people feared him. That's very different from the Cupid that we all know today. This little boy in a diaper, you know what I'm saying? With his, non-threatening self. And the reason why Cupid is that way now is because of Roman mythology. When Roman mythology came into play, they changed his whole appearance, and they made him into this little boy with the arrows, looking cute and non-threatening. So when Cupid is depicted as a little boy, he doesn't act on his own. He acts on his mother's wishes. So whatever his mother tells him to do, like shoot this person with the arrow, he'll shoot that person with the arrow, but he doesn't shoot people with the arrows on his own. So Cupid is the god of love, right? They took out all the sinister acts from Greek mythology and made him into this cute little cherub who makes people fall in love. But did you know that Cupid had his own little love story going on? So now I'm going to tell you about Cupid and Psyche. So Psyche was a mortal woman that was on Mount Olympus, right? And Venus, aka Aphrodite, Cupid's mother, she was like the most beautiful goddess on Mount Olympus, right? She was the goddess of love. Who could be more beautiful than her? You know what I'm saying? And so when she saw Psyche, she feared that the gods were gonna no longer want her, and like she wasn't gonna be like the most beautiful anymore, and that her beauty wasn't gonna be held that high anymore because you have a mere mortal who's even more beautiful than she is. So in order to make Psyche look undesirable, she wanted her son Cupid to make her fall in love with some hideous man that lived, on Mount Olympus. Cupid, had to do it. So he was gonna do it, but then, he saw how beautiful Psyche was and he chose not to do it. Instead, he ended up, being like her love under one condition. He would only come to visit her in the dark and at nighttime so that she couldn't see who he was. Cupid wanted her to trust him and to love him for who he was, but without knowing who he was, because once she knew who he was, of course she was gonna love him, because he was, the god of love, this beautiful teenage boy who everyone was in love with, all the women wanted. So he said, I'm only gonna come to you at nighttime, and you must never shine light on me. You must never try to see who I am. So one day he comes to see her, right? And they fall asleep. And she goes and she takes a lantern or a candle or some shit. I can't fucking remember. And I think it was a candle or something because there was wax involved. Anyway, so she takes the candle, she lights it up so that she could see who the fuck this is. She wanted to see who it was. Mind you, he made her promise never to put the light on him so that she could see who he is. So when she looks and she sees that it's Cupid, she was like so happy about it because it was Cupid, this beautiful god who is in love with her and wants to be with her. So what happens? Wax ends up dripping from the candle and it falls on Cupid's cheek and it burns him and it wakes him up. When he wakes up and he sees Psyche with the fucking candle looking right at him and sees who he is, he gets up and he runs away. And he left her there and said that he's never going to be with her again because, and this is a very important thing that Cupid says to her, he says to her, I could never be with you because where there is no trust, there can be no love. Oh my God, what a fucking great lesson to be learned in Greek mythology, right? So what happens next? What happens next is Psyche is like so distraught and she wants to do anything that she can to get Cupid back. So she goes to Venus, aka Aphrodite, Cupid's mother, and begs her to like let her do whatever it is that she can do to make it up to Cupid and to prove that she loves him and that she's sorry. And so Venus puts her to do all types of fucked up shit, like, all types of crazy things. And after, a long time, Cupid sees all the work she's putting into proving how sorry she is and that she wants another chance. And eventually he forgives her. And they get together, they have kids of their own, and it was just a beautiful thing. So that was the story of Cupid and Psyche and Cupid and who the fuck this little cherub really was. Cupid had brothers, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't the only little fucking cherub. There were 3 other brothers. And Teros, and he's the god of family and love. Then there's Himeros, he is the god of lust. And then there's Pothos, and he's the god of like wishing to find love. The gods and the goddesses and all the stories about Mount Olympus. Yo, it is so fucking interesting. And I hope that you guys found this video interesting. Bye.